I must tell you as well, I was proud to serve with these men and women. This is an extraordinary group of people. I'm proud to be a member of the United States Senate and meet with people of integrity as we do here today. Now we gather due to a selfish man's injured pride and the outrage of supporters who he has deliberately misinformed for the past that the election was stolen. The best way we can show respect for the voters who were upset is by telling them the truth.
네, 트럼프 대통령이 원하는 방식으로는 지금 이 선거 정직성에 대해서 의심을 하고 있는 투표자들을 만족시킬 수 없다라고 이야기하고 있습니다. 그냥
Senator from New Hampshire, Senator Shaheen.
Senator from New Hampshire.
Mr. President,
뉴햄프셔의 민주당
on January
의원입니다.
3rd, I, along with 31 of my colleagues, stood in this chamber and swore an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. It's both ironic and deeply disappointing that only 3 days after swearing these oaths, some of my colleagues are willfully coming close to breaking this promise. Since 1797, each U.S. president has peacefully handed over power to the next. And that will happen again.
네, 평화적인 정권 이양을 하지 않으려고 한다고 말하면서 트럼프를 지지하는 많은 의원들이 그들이 맹세한 헌법을 수호하겠다는 그 사실을 지키지 않으려고 한다고 주장하고 있습니다. 네, 민주당 의원이기 때문에 아마 비슷한 얘기를 계속할 것 같습니다.
Up to 5 minutes to the senator from Ohio, Senator Portman.
Senator from Ohio.
네, 오하이오의 상원 의원이 나옵니다.
Mr. Vice President, you have fulfilled your duties as President of the Senate tonight with distinction, and we all appreciate it.
네, 펜스 부통령에게 부통령으로서 이 상원 의장으로서 역할을 다해주셔서 감사하다고 방금 말했습니다.
I thought about changing my mind and not speaking tonight, given the lateness of the hour, and I know all of my colleagues would have appreciated that greatly.
공화당 상원
But I
의원
felt it was necessary to speak
락 포트맨입니다.
because I want the American people, particularly my constituents in Ohio, to see that we will not be intimidated, that we will not be disrupted from our work, that here in the citadel of democracy, we will continue. Brave and selfless law enforcement officers stood in the breach and ensured that the citadel of democracy would be protected and that we would be defended. And we are deeply grateful for that, as is the nation. I've listened carefully to the comments of my colleagues, and I've listened over the past couple of weeks as this issue has been discussed, and I tell you, for me, it's not a hard decision.
어려운 결정이 아니었다고
I stand with
말하며
what the Constitution makes clear, the people and the
이분은
states
헌법을
hold the
수호한다고
power
말하고
here,
있습니다.
not us. My oath to the Constitution and my reverence for our democratic principles make it easy for me
네, 어떻게 말하는지 조금 더 들어보겠습니다.
these state certifications. By the way, I posed this process some 15 years ago when some Democrats chose to object to the electors from my home state of
네,
Ohio.
선거인의 이의 제기를 하는 것 자체에 대해서 부정적인 생각을 가지고 있는 공화당 의원인 것 같습니다.
I opposed it then and I oppose it now.
네, 그리고 지금도 그에 대해서 반대한다고 말하고 있습니다. 네, 아직까지는 좌시 헐리가 유일하게 그나마 부정선거를 언급하면서 네, 이 자리에서 동의되지 않는 부분들이 결정되어야 된다고 말한 유일한 사람이 되겠고요. 거의 다 끝났습니다, 여러분.
President Winston Churchill once said that he could do a 2-hour speech extemporaneously, but a 10-minute speech took immense preparation. I don't know what he would have said about a 4-minute speech. We are a 240-year anomaly in world history. We think that what we have here in this country is the way it's always been. It is a very unusual form of government. The normal form of government throughout world history is dictators, kings,
네,
czars,
지금 말하고
pharaohs,
있는 사람은 메인주의 상원
warlords,
의원이고요.
tyrants.
무소속입니다.
And we thought 20 years ago the march of history was toward democracy, but it is in retreat in Hungary and Turkey. Goodness knows in Russia. Democracy as we have practiced it is fragile. It's fragile and it rests upon trust. It rests upon trust in facts. It rests upon trust in courts, in public officials, and yes, in elections.
네, 이분이 지금 하고 있는 말은 민주주의 자체가 굉장히 취약하기 때문에 우리는 주어진 사실과 그리고 시스템, 구조를 신뢰해야 된다고 말하고 있습니다. 법적 시스템이나. 네, 당연히 트럼프에게 맞서서 얘기를 하는 것 같고요.
To each and every one of us of what happens when we fail to come together, not as Democrats and Republicans, but each of us as Americans, to stand up to a president who time and again has shown contempt for our democracy, contempt for our Constitution. Today here on the Capitol, we witnessed people taking down an American flag
네, 메릴랜드 상원
and putting
의원이고요.
up
지금 말하고 있는
a
사람은
Trump flag. That is not democracy in the United States of America. As every senator who has spoken has mentioned, we have for hundreds of years had a peaceful transfer of power.
네, 이분도 트럼프를 지지하는 사람이 아닌 것 같습니다. 민주당 의원입니다. 죄송합니다. 네.
Having a commission chosen by Nancy Pelosi, Mitch McConnell, and John Roberts is not going to get you to where you want to go. It ain't going to work. So it's not going to do any good. It's going to delay, and it gives credibility to a dark chapter of our history. That's why I'm not with you. But I will fight to my death for you. You're able to object. You're not doing anything wrong. Other people have objected. I just think it's a uniquely bad idea to delay this election. Trump and I, we've had a hell of a journey. I hate it being this way. Oh my God, I hate it. From my point of view, he's been a consequential president.
네, 이런 방식으로 부정선거를 밝히는 것에 대해서 그냥 동의하고 있지 않습니다. 그래서 이 제기를 하는 것에 대해서 부정적으로 생각하고 있는 상태이고요.
I've tried to be helpful, but when the Wisconsin Supreme Court ruled 4-3 that they didn't violate the Supreme of Wisconsin, I agree with the 3, but I accept the 4. If Al Gore can accept 5-4 and he's not president, I can accept Wisconsin 4-3. Pennsylvania, it went to the Second Circuit. So much for all the judges being in Trump's pocket. They said, no, you're wrong. I accept the Pennsylvania Second Circuit that Trump's lawsuit wasn't right. Georgia, they said the Secretary of State took the law in his own hands.
네, 각 주별로 있었던 법적 소송에 대해서 지금 정리를 하고 있는데요.
A federal judge said no. I accept the federal judge even though I don't agree with it. Fraud. They said there's 66,000 people in Georgia under 18 voted. How many people believe that? I asked, give me 10, and I had 1. They said 8,000 felons.
Mr. Cruz.
테드
Mr.
크루즈는 yes.
Daines. Ms. Duckworth. Mr. Durbin. Ms. Ernst. Mrs. Feinstein.
한국 시간은 오후 12시입니다. 네, 지금 다들 하원을 기다리고 있는 건지 모르겠는데 제가 잠시 하원 쪽 영상 한 번만 틀어보겠습니다.
우리나라 상황이라면 이게 살릴
Americans are angry. So many Americans are angry and disheartened. I think we can do better. I think that strategy was unwise. And I think, particularly in light of what's happened here today, we should. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
네, 지금 하원 토론 현장으로 잠시 왔고요.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Arizona seek recognition?
Madam Speaker, I rise tonight in opposition to the objection.
Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Speaker. As a nation, we have endured trying times and overcome many challenges. And now we face an unprecedented
네, 하원에서는 아직도 토론이 진행 중인 것으로 보입니다. 제가 양해 부탁드립니다. 왔다 갔다 하면서 상원 상황도 함께 살펴볼게요.
Unprecedented events of tonight. This effort must be finished.
I ask unanimous consent the Senate be in a period of morning business with the following senators permitted to speak therein for up to 5 minutes each.
네, 상원이 다시
Senator Toomey,
돌아왔습니다.
Senator Rubio, Senator Collins.
And on our side, Senators Wyden, Hirono, and Coons.
Finally, following their remarks, the Senate stand in recess subject to the call of the chair.
No.
Maybe not.
Keep going.
We may have. Okay, so we'll figure it out.
Without objection, we'll be in morning business.
네, 지금 상황을 좀 파악하고 있습니다. 어떻게 되고 있는 상황인지
Not many will.
잠시 보도록 하겠습니다.
And underserved communities voted in record numbers, all during a pandemic. In 2020, Arizona's made their voices heard. The fact is, multiple federal, state judges, agencies, state elected officials concluded the winner was Joe Biden. In Arizona, this
even if Congress did have the constitutional responsibility to judge the worthiness of a state's election process, which it does not, rejecting Pennsylvania's electoral votes would still be wildly out of proportion to the purported offenses and very damaging to our republic. Let me go through a few facts about Pennsylvania. First, some of the objectors, and in fact even the President of the United States this morning, have observed that the Pennsylvania Supreme Court disregarded existing law when it ruled that mail-in ballots could be counted even if they arrived up to 3 days after the election day. Now, the objectors are right about that. In my view, the Supreme Court of the United States should overturn that illegal decision. But, Mr. President, only 10,097 ballots arrived in Pennsylvania during the 3 days after the election. And those 10,097 ballots have been excluded from the vote count that resulted in President-elect Biden winning Pennsylvania by about 80,000 votes. What greater remedy could the objectors possibly want than the complete...
패투미 의원이 다시 이야기를 하고 있습니다. 상원 의원이고요.
Over 10,000 votes that were not even included in the vote count. The second charge we heard, and the senator from Missouri alluded to it this evening, is a 2019 Pennsylvania law that allows mail-in ballots for any reason, that might violate the Pennsylvania Constitution. Well, first of all, as Senator
네, 지금 패투미가 말하고 있는 것은 트럼프가 주장하는 펜실베니아에서 잃어버렸다고 하는 표로는 트럼프가 진짜 잃어버린 표는 한 10,000표 정도밖에 되지 않는다고 주장을 하고 있습니다. 네, 일단 회의는 끝난 걸로 알고 있는데
If the Republican majority for the last 2 years had actually been interested in election security, they would not have worked relentlessly to block my legislation to secure our 2020 elections with hand-marked paper ballots and post-election security audits. By the way, those are the kinds of approaches that are part of the Oregon system.
네, 지금까지 선거 개혁을 위해서 많은 일을 해왔는데 이분이 네, 그것에 대해서 어프로브하지 않았던 것은 공화당 의원들이었다고 얘기를 하고 있습니다. 네, 그런데 지금에 와서 이렇게 얘기를 하니까 말이 안 되는 것이라고 얘기하면서 네, 더 이상은 선거인의 이재기를 하지 말 것을 촉구하고 있는 것 같고요.
244-year history.
네, 지금 민주당 메릴랜드 하원 의원이
Did I know
이야기를 하고 있고요.
that this capital would be attacked
역시나 민주당스러운 얘기하고 있습니다.
by the enemy within.
민주주의를 침해당했다고
I
얘기하고
was here on
있고요.
9/11 when we were attacked by the enemy without.
네, 30표대로 줄어들었고요. 네, 스트리밍 시간 11시간 반 제대로 여러분 데뷔합니다. 앞으로 라이브로 소통하는 시간 자주 가지도록 하겠습니다. 자, 이제 30표대가 남았고요. 네, 그래도 댓글로 되게 예리하게 봐주셨는데 민주당 쪽에서 예스가 한 명 있긴 했습니다. 누군지 되게 궁금하네요. 선거인단 이의제기에 동의를 한 사람이 민주당에 딱 한 명 있는데 네, 그게 누구일지 궁금합니다. 그래도 현재까지 투표수로 봐서는 공화당 쪽에서는 하원에서는 과반수 이상이 예스에다가 동의를 투표를 했고요. 그래서 하원이 상원보다는 좀 더 나은 것 같습니다. 후원금 너무 감사드립니다. 너무 감사드립니다. 너무 감사드립니다. 네, 감사합니다. 네, 드디어 26표대로 진입했습니다. 방금 민주당의 한 명, 예스로 투표했던 한 명이 다시 노로 갔습니다. 이상하네요. 여기서도 부정선거가 있는 건가 싶은. 아까 분명히 민주당의 한 명이 네, 이의제기에 동의한다고 예스라고 떴었는데 그 표가 다시 노 쪽으로 갔습니다. 네, 후원 너무 감사드립니다. 트럼프 지지자들이 폭동을 일으켰다고 많이들 알고 계신데요. 네, 트럼프 지지자들 틈에 의도적으로 폭동을 일으키려고 나타난 안티파와 BLM 세력들이 있었던 거는 100% 밝혀졌습니다. 네, 8표에서 아직 줄지 않고 있습니다. 네, 다른 방송으로 잠시만 갔다 올게요. 아마 8표인데 조금 시간이 걸리는 것 같습니다. 네, 지속적으로 후원해주시는 분들께 너무 감사드립니다. 그 마음 너무...
Vote. The yeas are 121. The nays are 303. The noes have it. The objection is not agreed to, and without objection, a motion to reconsider is laid upon the table. The clerk will now notify the Senate of the action of this House, informing that body that the House is now ready to proceed in joint session with the further counting of the electoral vote for the President and the Vice President.
네, 후원 너무 감사드립니다. 감사합니다. 지금 하원에서는 투표 집계가 끝났고요. 이제 다시 합동회의로 조인한다고 합니다. 다시 합동회의가 곧 진행될 예정입니다, 여러분. 네, 이미 결과가 나오긴 했습니다. 상원에서도 이의 제기에 노가 훨씬 많았고, 네, 그리고 하원에서도 노에 훨씬 더 많은 표가 갔습니다. 그래서 큰 이변이 없다면, 네, 결과는 노로 결정이 될 것 같습니다. 그렇지만 끝까지 한번 지켜보는 것도 나쁘지 않을 것 같습니다.